This chick Faulkner on Fox News is one of the worst. First of all, she's a complete airhead. And second of all, she continually spreads misinformation. I want you to listen to this exchange she had with a Democrat where she's making the case that if the crime rises, it's all due to this defund the police narrative. By the way, this guy who's running for mayor in New York City has said openly he does not want to defund the police. 99.9% of Democrats have said openly they don't want to defund the police. What some of them have said and what Joe Biden did was he reallocated certain funds from some precincts to others. That is not defunding the police. So this whole idea that these MAGA idiots out there are saying defund the police is a blatant lie. Listen to this idiot Faulkner talk about crime rising, and then when she actually gets a real statistic from a Democrat, which is that the red states are leading with murder rates and high-profile crimes, listen to how they just nudge that actual real fact off to the side. This is a perfect example of why I don't call it Fox News, I call it Fox Noise, and Faulkner embarrassing herself live this morning.
George Floyd, but in the city of George Floyd, Jacob Frey. Your party is running someone far, far to the left of Jacob Frey, and he is being called right now the Midwest Mom Donnie. He wants some of the same things. He talks about defunding the police and free grocery stores and free transportation. And you think free is free. But if the crime rises, and it always does, this is what we see. No. We already know it does. When you defund police, we already know it does.
He says he doesn't want to defund the police. That's what he says.
I'm giving you an example of where it's spreading. I'm giving you an example. And since Mom Donnie likes to go back to the origin of his comments being in Minneapolis with the death of George Floyd, I'm saying, look at what's cropped up there. This is something that you guys will come to a reckoning to in your party. It is a divide in your party.
There are much higher rates of crime in red states than blue states, of murder, of gun deaths in red states governed by Republicans than in blue states.
That's a nuanced. That's a nuanced
just
statistic. That's a nuanced statistic. We can get into it later. I know we have to move.
Sorry,
we do. It's always like this, though, right?
Notice how they just move on from that fact. Notice how they just brush that off to the side, and Faulkner is such an idiot. That is true. And Faulkner's trying to make the claim that all the crime is rising in all these blue states, and it's just to fund the police narrative, which is a lie. And then when she's fact-checked, and the most serious of crimes and the murder rates are higher in most red states than blue states in the United States of America, her response is, well, that's a nuanced statistic. What that means is I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to acknowledge that fact that makes me look bad. I mean, she is just the worst. And then listen to this exchange she had on polling, where she's making the case that inflation is down, which, by the way, it's not. The new report said it's up a little bit. She lied about that. And this guy on there is sharing Fox News actual polling that shows you how many people in this country are frustrated with how Donald Trump is handling the economy. And once again, Faulkner gets completely embarrassed and destroyed on her own show.
Who do you think this really does come down to having to impress the American people right now? Is your party, Mike, you guys are not all moving in concert with one another.
No, I mean, we lost the last election, so we're having a lot of tough conversations about how we build a new Democratic Party. That'll keep happening until we elevate a new candidate. What I'll tell you, though, is I think both political parties are completely out of touch with the day-to-day lives of most Americans. There's a lot of polling out in the last couple of weeks talking about how frustrated people are with inflation and pricing and housing and things like that.
Inflation's at 2%. The GDP
inflation's at 2.9%, actually, Harris. It's the
GDP just popped to 3%. I mean, we haven't seen that in a very long time.
If I could point you to Fox's own polling, Trump is negative 30% on pricing and the inflation. It's as unpopular as Joe Biden ever was. So the American people are pretty frustrated with where their lives are right now. There's a Navigator poll out just this morning or yesterday that has a lot of Americans saying they're worse off than they were 6 months ago.
Absolutely and positively ridiculous. And I'm so glad that this guy was on there, spreading truth to Faulkner's lies once again. Inflation is at 2%. No, it's not. It went up again. And again, making the case that it's all the Democrats. Fox News owned polling. And he's right when he says Trump is more unpopular when it comes to inflation than Joe Biden ever was, based on Fox News only polling. So listen, Faulkner's an idiot. Fox News has absolutely zero credibility, and it's an embarrassment.